Welcome to the NBA Triple Double Show powered by SportsMemo. I am your host, Ronald Cabang, also known as UCapper on SportsMemo.com and on Twitter at U_Capper. We got three great games today to break down, but we got to talk about some promos first. Today is Monday, so you know what that means. It is $9 Monday over at SportsMemo.com. All picks and packages from any of our amazing cappers are available on the site for just $9 today. We have two other promos to talk about here. A 7-day NBA package for just $49. Use promo code COURT7 to get that deal. That is COURT7 to get a 7-day NBA package from your favorite capper over at sportsmomo.com for $49. And today, college basketball is finally here. Right now, through November 13th, you can get a 7-day college basketball package from any capper over at sportsmemo.com, also for $49. That is three amazing promos going on right now. So head over to sportsmemo.com after the show to snatch up some deals. With that said, let's get our guys up in here. Matt and Dr. Chuck, what is good, guys? It is Monday. We had for me, I had a flat weekend. I think I went 6-7 in the NBA this weekend. So how did you guys do, Matt? How did you do on in the NBA slate during the weekend?
Overall, I had a pretty good weekend with the NBA. I went into Sunday 5-0 and actually lost my last two, so I ended up 5-2. Overall, went 12-5 on the weekend with NFL, NBA, and UFC. So I was pretty happy to have that bounce back. I know we talked about how I had that pretty shitty week, but I made up all those units in this week, and that's why I say you got to subscribe, because you're going to be part of some bad ones. You don't want to ditch it, be gone forever, because you got to be back for that bounce back. This was bounce back week, and we're looking to keep it going now.
Yeah, I mean, as professional cappers, we get looked at as people who would win all the time, but really for us, we view it in a different way where we look at it long term, right? You know, a bad week doesn't mean anything to us because we know in the long term we win at a higher rate. Dr. Chuck, how was your weekend?
Yeah, it was kind of back and forth. It's funny you went 6-7. I think I went 6-6. Yes, I had a bad Saturday and then really picked it up last night. Last night would have been a sweep, except the only thing we missed yesterday was a same game parlay that was more just like a flyer type thing, but involved, bringing things down. I threw Reggie Jackson on there just to have 4 assists, and he threw up a trillion. He almost threw up a trillion club there. So that was a pretty rough ending, but otherwise pretty solid, and not just props, but hit with the Wizards on the spread as well. So looking to start and do even better this week.
Yep, new week. Let's get some W's on the board here. I know on the show for us over at the Triple Double Show, we've been doing really well. Not only just the best bets, but also the lean. So you guys make sure you pay attention to everything that we talk about. And we also, as much as we talk about specific games, we also talk about different angles. So definitely pay attention to how we're capping these games here. With that said, let's get straight to the board here. Bucks Hawks first. Bucks are 9-0. Took care of the Thunder without Giannis on Saturday. Hawks are on a 2-game winning streak right now and are coming off an OT win against the Pelicans. As far as the injuries, Connaughton, Middleton, and Ingles are out for the Bucks. Giannis did show up in the injury report this morning, but I think he's likely to play. Bogdanovic out for the Hawks, and I believe Trae Young might be a true game time decision. What I read earlier this morning was shin soreness, so he's probably going to go through shoot around and see how he goes from there. Dr. Chuck, let's start with you. How's everything? How are you looking at this game here?
Yeah, and you mentioned it, but when we talk about these games and it's not a specific bet that we put out, or we don't say go to the window and do this, still, use the information that we're giving, because we're trying to do our best, especially when it's a 3-game. There's 15 games tonight. We're just focusing on 3 of them. I don't know. I read the same thing. I tried to find a bunch of stuff to read, especially Atlanta-based stuff. He just played the most minutes in that game, and so maybe that's why they're putting him on the report. I don't buy that he's not playing. Clearly, he's one of those guys. The way that the Hawks have been playing, he's one of those guys that is absolutely important. Hard to say if a point move, I think it's -4 as we're airing this. If a point move is any kind of insider knowledge, I think the Bucks are -4, and I think they've started maybe 2.5 or 3. I mean, they've played once already, and it was in Milwaukee, but Trae Young scored 42 points, and they still lost pretty solidly. So he has to be in this game. to do anything to do with an over or a Hawks spot. But you mentioned it. The Bucks are 9-0. This is the real deal. Giannis got a day off. They're doing it without Middleton, without Connaughton. And when they beat the Hawks in the game previously last month, they didn't get anything from Javon Carter. They didn't get anything from Grayson Allen. They didn't get anything from Wesley Matthews, and they still did it. Him and Drew just took them down by themselves, which Matt brought up last week. What the Hawks are doing is it's all Young and Murray. And while it's fun and I like a backcourt that's this star-studded, nobody else is contributing. And specifically in that game, John Collins was like a no-show. He played 30-plus minutes and put up 4 points and 5 rebounds, and that can't happen. I'm not getting off this Bucks train until I see it happen. And I know that sounds dumb because they can't go undefeated. They're not going to go undefeated. But plenty of teams, go for 60-plus wins, and we saw what the Suns could do. This is that kind of team, and they're only going to get better. I mean, you could make an argument that Middleton is their second best player, Connaughton's their fourth best player, and they're going without them on a regular basis, 9-0 already. I'd lay the 4. Definitely, I think the Bucks are going to win, and I would say Trae Young is probably playing, and then it's just a cop-out, 42 minutes, does have shin soreness. It's the Bucks coming to town. It's kind of like hey, if they come and beat us and we've lost the first 2 games to them, we had an excuse type of injury report, I think. And so I wouldn't want to do anything with a total until I knew for sure Trae Young is a full go, but I'd be playing the Bucks. And if you do think Trae has any chance of sitting, you got to get this 4.
Mute.
Hey, Ron, you're not.
Mute.
My bad.
There we go.
Yeah, that's just an interesting point to whether or not you believe Trae is going to play. I mean, 40 minutes is heavy minutes, and it is early on the season, and they have a really tough schedule coming up. So I think this is one where we really want to wait until we hear Trae Young news. Bill McDonald, Bucks are due for a loss. This is the day. Hawks money line at home. Do you agree with that, Matt?
So my take on this is 100% yes, you have to wait for Trae Young. I mean, that's extremely influential news. But I am with the chat. I'm going to be siding with the Hawks here. And here's why. I'm very understanding that the Milwaukee Bucks are 9-0, but this is also the 22nd ranked team in adjusted offensive rating. They have the 30th strength of schedule. They have the 30th rank of offensive strength of schedule on top of that, and the 23rd defensive rank of schedule. So kind of all over the place towards the back end. Could this be the reason the Bucks are number 1 in terms of overall defense? I'm not so sold on that. I think the Bucks are overall a very, very good defensive team. When you have Giannis, when you have Brook Lopez, you're going to be very good and sound defensively. But that doesn't mean they haven't really faced the upper teams throughout the NBA. And I think the Hawks are a good test for them, especially going on the road and facing the Atlanta Hawks, a spot the Atlanta Hawks have actually beaten the Bucks 3 times in a row. Now, on top of that, you have to talk about the addition of DeJounte Murray, because I think that Drew Holiday, DeJounte Murray matchup is huge in this game. Purely for the fact that of any team that could potentially slow Giannis down maybe a little bit, it's going to be the Atlanta Hawks, because they have tall defenders. They have defenders who can move their feet. They're lengthy, with John Collins, with Clint Capella anchoring that middle. And then even DeAndre Hunter, obviously he can get back down very easy, but he's long, he's lengthy. He can get at that basketball and things of that nature. And then now going with DeJounte Murray, these 3 games that the Atlanta Hawks beat the Milwaukee Bucks were without DeJounte Murray. Now DeJounte Murray is plugged in that lineup with 22 points per game, 8.1 assists, 6.3 rebounds, and 2.4 steals per game. He has made plays that have been big-time swings in momentum. On top of that, he's able to pick your pocket and go down by himself and throw it down. So I really do like DeJounte Murray in this spot to get that Atlanta crowd going against this Bucks team. To Dr. Chuck's point, they don't have Chris Middleton. They don't have Pat Connaughton, which is their number 2 and 4 player. So for me, when I look at this, if, in fact, Giannis can be slowed down just even a little bit because he's been playing at such an exceptional level to this point in the season, then they're going to have to go to someone like Drew Holiday or, some of these bench guys Grayson Allen's been starting, Bobby Portis, kind of guys like that. But then that matchup of Drew Holiday and DeJounte Murray is even that much more important. And I think DeJounte Murray is here to make a statement against Drew Holiday tonight. I think he can help to slow down Drew Holiday. And because of that, I'm with the Hawks +4, and I'm with the Hawks money line on top of that. I think the Bucks get their first loss of the season tonight.
Man, that's some really great points there. I mean, the interesting thing too, like you talk about DeJounte showing up in this game specifically, just against Drew Holiday to show that he's one of the top premier point guards out there. If you think Trey is not going to play, you would probably want to take his props right now, right? Wouldn't that be a good way to go, Matt?
Yeah, 100%. DeJounte Murray has already been beating his props. It opened up around 17.5 to start the season. This dude's averaging 22 per game. His assists, especially if Trae Young is out, easy double-double. Nothing is certain in this game. But with DeJounte Murray, his assist opportunity per minute is going to skyrocket with Trae Young. And that's exactly what you're looking for. You're looking for additional volume. You're looking for additional opportunity. And these advanced analytics like the assist opportunity per minute, rebound opportunity per minute, shots per minute, things of that nature, that's what you look for, because all you can ask for is that additional volume, is that additional opportunity. And if Trae Young misses, it's all going to go to DeJounte Murray.
Yeah, I like that. The other way that I was thinking about it is from a total perspective was actually towards the under. I know, obviously DeJounte and Trey all played 40 minutes plus in the last game. Hunter Collins and Capella, they all played heavy minutes as well. I think we might be able to see some tired legs here early. The Bucks, they're obviously one of the better rebounding teams in the league, and we touched on their defense. They're number 1 in defensive rating. I mean, some of it could be to the point of what Matt said, who they played, right? But at the same time, they're defending in the paint. They're just one of the better teams defending in the paint, and the Hawks score most of their points in the paint. 46% of their points are in the paint. So to me, the way that I was looking at this, I want to stay away from the side because I don't know, when the Bucks are going to get their first loss. This is tough to see. I mean, they're obviously a great team, but I want to stay away from the side here. I think there's a lot of points to point towards the Hawks, but also towards the Bucks here. I want to focus on the total and just say I think it's going to go under. I think there's going to be a lot of defense on both sides of the ball. You mentioned DeJounte Murray putting it on Drew here, and if he struggles offensively as the point guard on the Bucks side, you're going to focus on Giannis to sort of be that point forward, similar to what he's been doing throughout the year. But at the same time, it's just the pace of play. I think it's the defensive side of the ball on both sides. I think this is going to be a playoff atmosphere type game where the Hawks actually step up defensively against this Bucks team. So to me, I would look towards the under here and just kind of stay away from the side for the most part, because it's really tough to step in front of this Bucks team right now. With that said, the next game here, we got the Celtics and Grizzlies. The Celtics are on a nice 2-game winning streak. They just beat the Bulls and the Knicks. Now they visit the 7-3 Grizzlies, who are on a 3-game winning streak themselves. 3, I would say, less impressive victories, though. They beat the Blazers without Lillard. They beat the shorthanded Hornets team and also the Wizards without Beal last night, right? The Grizzlies, they're playing the second game of back-to-back home games. I can see the Celtics kind of taking advantage of that early. The last time the Grizzlies played the second leg of back-to-back games, they were outscored 39-17 in the first quarter. That was against the Mavs. I would like to look at how the Grizzlies I wanted to look at how the Grizzlies did on the second game of back-to-backs as dogs dating back to last season. I found out that they're 2-6 against the spread in that first quarter in this spot. So I'm gonna be looking towards the Celtics early. I'm gonna take the Celtics first quarter. And then from a total perspective, both teams are highly efficient offensively. Both teams in the in the top 10 in offensive rating, and both in the bottom 10 in defensive rating. When I see that, I kind of look towards the over initially. In the last 5 games, though, they look to have stepped up defensively, but I think it has more to do with who they've been facing more than anything. I think if the Grizz push the pace here, I think this one can go over the total. I know it's pretty high. I think it's at 230, 231 right now. But I think they can go over in this one. Both teams I think both teams can put up some points. The Grizzlies shot only 43% from the field last game. And I think dating back to last season, I looked at how they did after games where they struggled from the field under 45%. And also they're the dog in the game. They're 10-3 to the over in those spots. So over full game and Celtics first quarter for me. Matt, what are your thoughts on this game here?
Yeah, so this is a game I'm honestly very excited to watch, just to see two of these upper level teams throughout the NBA face off. You got John Morant and Desmond Bain, and on the other side, you got Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And on both sides, they've been playing at an elite level. And, after talking with both of you before this show, I wanted to give a different angle for this game. And for this angle, we're actually going to go with Ja Morant over 26.5 points. I'm looking at Ja Morant here because his past 3 games in a row, he has missed this number. In his past 2 games against the Celtics, he has hit this with 29 points and 38 points. And, there are just some players throughout the league who tend to elevate their game based off opponent. When you face these upper level teams, the stars tend to shine. And Ja Morant is one of those guys. Again, although he has missed his last 3 games, he's still averaging 19 shots per game and had 27 shots in his last game. He shot 33%. That's the only thing that hurt. And over those last 3 games, he shot around 35%. You don't expect that to continue with Ja Morant, especially with a Boston Celtics team that is still without Robert Williams. That middle is wide open for the Boston Celtics. Robert Williams is not going to be back till November. And again, anytime you have Al Horford anchoring that middle, it's there for attacking, and that is exactly what Ja Morant does. In his last 3 games at home, when he has had 20 shots or more, he's hit this at a 75% rate. I think Ja Morant takes over tonight. I think Ja Morant gets 20-plus shots, and I think he hits this over at 26.5. I honestly think this is somewhat low because he's missed his last 3 games, and honestly, I might even play this at 30 points tonight to get a plus money play. You might get that at plus 125, plus 130. We all know how capable Ja Morant is for that. And again, we talked about this game potentially over. That means more points scored. That means more opportunity. This is going to be a game where the boys get out and run. I like Ja Morant here in this spot at 26.5 points, and I jump on this fast because this line is going to move up.
Yeah, with that said, Chris, our producer here, just pointed out that the line is actually at 29.5 at some books. Would you recommend 29.5 if you missed the line?
Yeah. So I definitely would. Like last night, I got this at 26.5. That's why I have this here right now. But yeah, definitely. That means people are pouncing on it, and I'm sure they've been jumping on it like I did since last night. So yeah, this is definitely one I would take at 29.5. Definitely shop around. You want to try and get that 28.5 or 27.5, wherever it may be at this point in time. That's why, again, at basically right around midnight, 1 a.m. is when I start shopping some of my NBA lines. And if they're available, if I see something I like, I jump on it right there because I know when people wake up and they hop on that line, it's going to move, and it's going to move quick, especially with player props. Player props can move with very little, and like even if for me, if I release something on Twitter, that line tends to move by a point, even 2 points, with a couple hours of game time. So definitely with props, that's some advice. Definitely with props, if you like something earlier, take it because props move more than anything else.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Matt, Dr. Chuck, what are your thoughts on this game here?
Yeah, it's like Matt said, like the song says, you better shop around because the player props, especially, like that's board. I mean, imagine if this wasn't a player prop and Chris is telling you that there's a spread that was 6.5 some places and 9.5 at other places. I mean, just think of it in those terms because points can be at a premium, or in a game like this, they could just be just burning up the nets, which I'm expecting to be the case here. We discussed off the air. There's a lot of different ways to attack this, but as soon as I see this line, without knowing what the standings are or anything like that, just think about what people remember about these two teams, what they last saw. The Grizzlies at home getting almost 4 points is just, I immediately am looking for a way to go against that. If they're going to beg me to take the darling, that's Ja Morant, the Grizzlies deep playoff run. I know the Celtics went to the championship, but they're on the road, and it's a line that really makes you wonder because you got to think if this was on the parquet in Boston, you're telling me that the Celtics would be about 9.5, maybe double-digit favorites. There's no way. And no one would have anything to do with that. So why are they wanting you to take the Grizzlies? I would immediately look to the Celtics. No team takes more 3-pointers per 100 shots than the Celtics. No team attempts more threes on the road than their 44 per game. there's a lot of different angles. There's this NBA prop book, Hail Mary 26.5 for star players that they love to throw out there. That's where Devin Booker's sitting in a game we're not going to discuss, and that's where Jason Tatum's sitting. 26.5 is kind of Looney Tunes for this game tonight. His 3-point numbers are 2.5. I mean, you definitely want to shop around on that one because DraftKings is juicing that at about -200. It's like 1 to 2 for him to make 3 threes. Basically, it's going to happen. The guy's going to chuck 9 or 10 of them. But these teams have played 6 times with Ja, and he's 1-6 straight up, and he's 1-6 against the spread, home or away in those 6 games. But what's funny is the last 5 have gone over, and the last 4 have gone like this. The book's set 221 and then 222 and then 223 and then 224, and it's still gone over by an average of 12 points, and that's eliminating the overtime game. And so the books did a good job of not just saying, all right, we'll just keep throwing it up by a point. They threw up a whole half dozen, and I still think it's not enough the way that the games have gone this season. And Ron brought up maybe a first quarter over or a first half over, which, I love first half plays, but there's a lot of ways to attack this. Matt brought up a lot of good reasons to back Ja, and I think Jason Tatum and him are just going to go back and forth. And the more the one takes the ball and doesn't pass it and creates his own shot for himself, the more the other one is going to want to too. I'd probably parlay both of them to go 30+.
Yeah, that's an interesting point there. I mean, I think Bill McDonald in the chat, Jalen and Jason are better than Ja and Desmond. I think at this point in their careers, yeah, I think so. I mean, they're more experienced.
For sure.
They're both really I think they're both really diverse as well, Jalen and Jason. I think Ja obviously is one of the better, one of the top up and coming players in the league, and then Desmond, I think he's probably I would say the lowest out of the 4 guys there. Yeah. But offensively, he's really coming to show up every game. I think he's starting to get some of his handles in there and playmaking ability, but his shot is off the charts right now. He's doing really well offensively. That's just my opinion on those 4 guys there. But yeah, that's a great breakdown by everyone on that game here. And then the last game here, we got the Nets and Mavs. Nets are 4-6. They've won 2 in a row. And then they beat the Wizards and the Hornets in back-to-back road games. So I don't think they're really great, proving wins in that sense. But now they face Mavs in Dallas tonight. 3rd game in 4 nights. 3rd road game in 4 nights too, so there's a lot of travel involved there. So we could probably see some fatigue on the Brooklyn side. Ben Simmons looked like he's going to be back in the lineup today. Seth Curry is still trying to get his legs back after his ankle injury, coming back from his ankle injury. And then Kyrie obviously is serving his suspension. The Mavs are on a 3-game winning streak and are well rested. They haven't played since Friday, or when they beat the Raptors. I think the game was a 1-point game, but that last 3-pointer by the Raptors really didn't matter. So it wasn't that close of a game, I think. I mean, if you watch that game there. Matt, how are you looking at this one, the Nets and the Mavs?
So for me, when I look at this game, I personally think the Nets are simply overmatched. The Mavericks come into this season 3rd in adjusted overall rating. They're 2nd in offensive rating, 12th in defensive rating. And this is also a team who is 1st in strength of schedule. So meaning the Dallas Mavericks, it's early on in the season and they've already been through the ringer. As for the Nets, they're also top 5 in strength of schedule, but they still come in at 21st in overall defensive rating. And in all honesty, I'm kind of surprised it's that high. I thought they would be a little worse. Luka's last 2 games against this Nets team too, he has absolutely gone off, having 37 points and 41 points, and has really proven that there is absolutely no one on this Brooklyn Nets team that can guard him. This is still a Nets team where if you take out Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving is still having a suspension. But if you take out Kevin Durant, or Kevin Durant has even a slow game, there's really no one to come in and pick up that slack for him. You're having guys like Royce O'Neal, who are kind of an anomaly this season, who are hitting over 2.5 threes per game. I don't know if that's something that I buy into. Seth Curry is coming back, but he still needs to kind of work into his role, get his shot back. He still needs to have that first game. Joe Harris been very inconsistent. The second guy has kind of been Nicholas Claxton. So when you're going on the road against a Dallas Mavericks team who has someone like Luka Doncic, who is potentially the best player in basketball, who's my MVP at this point in the season, a guy like Christian Wood, who's coming off the bench, who has been playing very well, very capable of scoring 15 points and maybe even getting 10 rebounds, a guy like Spencer Dinwiddie, guy like Tim Hardaway, who's very inconsistent as well. But what I'm getting at is the Mavericks have more guys who can hurt you, and then you have Luka Doncic just doing whatever he wants to do, which I expect him to kind of get into his back down game in this matchup, where he kind of posts you up, backs you down, makes his moves to the basket, or dishes out to the 3-point line, where, as we know, the Dallas Mavericks are very dangerous at the 3-point line. And the Brooklyn Nets are not disciplined on the defensive end. So for me, I got to go with the Dallas Mavericks here. I just think Luka Doncic is too much. If you don't have guys who can even slow him down or match up with him, you're in trouble right from that when that whistle blows. So for me, I think the Nets are still too inconsistent. The wins that they've had aren't the best teams in the world either. So I have the Mavericks here, and I have them covering this -6.
Yeah, that's a good point there. I think they're also overmatched. To me, I think I can only look towards the Mavs in this one. Nets are 3-1 straight up without Ben Simmons this season, but with him in the lineup, 1-5 straight up. So I think there's just a whole chemistry and a balance with that offensive, that starting lineup there that isn't making a lot of sense with Ben Simmons there. I think things that you mentioned as far as the bench contributions, that has to be more consistent before I even start looking towards the Nets in their direction as far as placing bets on their side. I would also lean towards the under. I know both teams play a very slow pace. In fact, the Mavs actually are the slowest paced team in the league. Even though they're a highly efficient offense, I think Brooklyn, they have looked a lot better defensively in their last 5 games. It's just a matter of, is Ben Simmons gonna kind of mess up the defensive chemistry there as well? Because I looked at their defensive rating with him and without him in the lineup, and surprisingly to me, it's surprising. The Nets defensive rating is actually worse with Ben Simmons in the lineup. So I would lean towards the Mavs and the under in this one. I don't know if I'm going to get to the window with it just because of how low the total is, but those are the leans there for me. Dr. Chuck, how are you looking at this one?
It's hard not to just have fun listening to you, and as a Sixers fan, just chuckling as you spout off the Ben Simmons stuff. I can't fathom. It's funny. There's I mean, we could probably spend a whole show talking about Ben Simmons. We could spend a whole show talking about Kevin Durant, and everybody woke up to some sort of alert on their phone saying, "Oh, it's Kevin Durant trade season again." So we're going to go through this 2 months of where will he go, and then he'll end up staying in Brooklyn, where he's incredibly unhappy and unable to win because, as he found out already, and yet wanted to do this again, he can't do it by himself. And he can't be the one. And that's just a thing tonight. I mean, you brought up, Matt was reeling off some of the guys that are there other than Ben Simmons. It's bad. This is just, it's, good for them for getting some wins against teams that they, needed to get wins against, especially when they start off so slowly in all these games. The Mavs really start off quick, especially at home, not quick pace-wise. They just get on, they kind of jump on your throat right from the jump. And the Nets are not that way, especially with the starting lineup of, Sumner and O'Neal and Simmons, Claxton around Kevin Durant. Like, this can't be what he ever thought could happen. And, then they fire Nash. I think this is probably should be 10. And as far as props go, we look at props, Matt has a really articulate system, and Ron has a system. Basically, what we're talking about is DFS or fantasy and things like that. The Nets are the worst fantasy against the opposing one. That's not a good recipe to be facing the best point guard in the league. And the dude that doesn't get the benefit of a 26.5, they can't hang 26.5 on Luka, but they're giving up 30 points to the one. They're giving up 3 made threes to the opposing one. And I think Luka probably just has a field day and goes for damn near 40, unless this is not a game in the fourth quarter and he gets to take that off, which I think is also a little bit of a worry. I don't think this is close. I'd probably lean towards the first half just in case Brooklyn can pull out some sort of rabbit in the hat and, backdoor something close down to single digits there. But I'd be on that first half, probably 3.5 or 4. And I think when I like to hammer a first half play, it's because I think the first half line should be what the full game line is, probably lay 6 there. And so that's where I'd be looking for this matchup.
I like it. I think we all agree in that one there. With that said, it's time for the best bets here. Dr. Chuck, let's start off with you. You're our third guest today. What is your best bet for the show, and what do you have going on over at sportsmemo.com?
Yeah, so it's $9 Monday. We had a decent NBA week, and football wasn't all that bad. Other things, and hockey was pretty excellent. Tennis was really, really bad. Unfortunately, we gave a lot of our tennis winnings back, but stick with us. We have reached close to the end of the season. We're still up over like 215 units or something, but we were approaching 300. And so we still have that goal to get there. But yeah, $9 Monday, and we'll have an NFL play up later. We already have some of our NBA plays up for a big day. We were joking off air. This is an exciting night if you're a basketball dork, because it's not like just a bunch of 7s and then a bunch of 10s. There's a new game every 15 minutes. So find a way to watch whatever team you're looking to watch. And one of the ones I'll be watching, it maybe not a very sexy matchup, but there's a lot of low-hanging fruit out there on the prop market. The one we're looking at is the Knicks facing the Timberwolves. Karl Anthony Towns found a remedy in the offseason for not having to stay down low in the paint because he hates it. All he wants to do is stay out there and chuck threes and not rebound the ball. And he's being forced to do that with the Stifle Tower out. Mitchell Robinson is also out, which means Isaiah Hartenstein will be making his second start in a row. He played 38 minutes, was 5 for 6 from the floor, and was just all over the glass with 14 boards. And the books come back in a matchup where he's going to be down there against Cat, maybe Naz Reid. They had an incredibly hard time with Gobert's first miss and committed 11 fouls between them. Couldn't do much down there. Obviously, we're not looking at Hartenstein's points, but he's going to be the guy down there that are going to be collecting the boards, especially as everybody else leaks out. There's going to be a lot of run where the Timberwolves are going with Edwards, and why can't I think of the Buckeye guy? McDaniels, Slow-Mo, Cat. These are the guys that are going to be out there. Hartenstein is going to be the only big down there. He's probably going to get more than 14 rebounds. Play this whatever you can. Find the best line. Maybe there's an 8.5 because the over 9.5 is plus money. But I think he could possibly have double-digit rebounds. He pretty much fits the top of our system. The last 2 plays we put out on rebounds, we had an over 9.5, and that went for 21. And we had an over 10.5, and that went for 17. So it's in that same vein, and I think he could get this at the half, and it doesn't matter what happens after that. So I'm pretty sure that he's going to play the 38 minutes again and go full game. So even if we're pushing it in the second half, he'll still be in. Yeah,
actually, Dr. Chuck, now that you pointed out, I actually really like that play a lot because Gobert is out, right? And you mentioned Mitchell Robinson is out. And the Wolves just shot 60% from the field. We're not going to see that. We're going to see a lot more opportunities for rebounds. So that might be a ladder. Yeah, that might be a ladder opportunity for those who play props with Hartenstein there. 9.5 up to like maybe like 13, 14. I like that. I'm gonna tell you with that one. Matt, what is your best bet for today? And also, what do you got going on the premium side?
Yeah, so premium side, already have 3 NBA plays up. I have a spread bet. I have 2 player props. I'll probably just package those together for a $9 Monday deal, honestly, try and hook the people up a little bit. Garrick, I saw your comment. Appreciate you grabbing that Chargers pick yesterday. And again, we spoke on line shopping. That Chargers pick counted as a push for me because I got it at -3. I'm guessing you got it at -2.5 because you shopped around, which is the smart thing to do. Another pick I had, Commanders +3, another push. If you shopped around, you can get that at 3.5. So again, shows how important it is to kind of go out there, shop around, and find that best line. So for me today, though, the best bet that I have, we are going to the Golden State Warriors, who are just on a 5-game road trip. They are finally back at home, and lucky for them, they are facing the Sacramento Kings. So my bet for this one is actually going to be the Warriors first half, -4.5. And This is an enormous game for the Golden State Warriors. Probably one of the bigger regular season games this team has had for some time. Again, losing all 5 games on their road trip. And this is a Warriors team that now sits 3-7, who face this Kings team, who's coming in after winning in overtime off of a buzzer beater against the Orlando Magic. And I got to tell everyone a little secret. I watched that full game. I did not watch college football. I actually prefer the NBA over college football nowadays. NFL is number 1, then my NBA, then maybe, I don't know, UFC after that. But I did watch that full game against the Orlando Magic, and it was a pretty exciting game. De'Aaron Fox hit a logo buzzer beater to send them home. Don't think that happens here, though. Do not think that happens here. You know, the Warriors haven't been playing great basketball, but they play far better at home, okay? Now they're back at home. They're 3-1 at home this season. And, you know, this is a very iffy defensive team with the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings rank 27th in adjusted defensive ranking and 28th in strength of schedule. So they could be even worse than that. In addition to that, the Kings are 10th in pace throughout the NBA and 2nd in average offensive possession length. So when they get into their offense, when they get into their motion, they shoot it around 13 seconds within the shot clock. Why am I mentioning that? Because if this team is bad in terms of offensive rating and they're fast in the shot clock, they're fast in place, that's a lot of missed shots. Meaning this game, if the Warriors are making shots, which they do at home, can get out of hand very, very fast. Again, as long as this Kings team is not making these shots. When the Warriors have played at home, they have covered the first half spread 3 out of their 4 games. Being up by 7 points, 18 points, and 4 points. That 18-point game as well against that Sacramento Kings team. So again, I think this is just one of those spots where the Warriors really need this game. They're going to get out. They're going to come to play early. Steve Kerr gets this team motivated. They have the veterans. They have the stars of the league and Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins. And again, those are guys like, you know, Andrew Wiggins is also a key defender. So for me, I really like the Warriors here at -4.5. I think this Kings team just goes too fast, and it's one of those games where they just don't make shots. And then because of that, the Warriors take advantage. They close this game out by the 3rd quarter. I'll take the Warriors here.
Yeah, I like that play a lot, especially that first half look. The one thing that I was looking at while you were talking, going through your description, and I actually do this with all the guests, is when you guys talk about games, I kind of look through on the database side while you guys talk and look stuff up. The Warriors coming from a road game to a home game, 23-14 against the spread since the 2020 season. They've covered 10 of their last 11 instances traveling from a road game to a home game. So
and it was the road trip of hell, man.
Yeah, exactly. That was a crazy road trip, so that's something that also backs your play there with the Warriors. My best bet is something that I'm we're going back to that we just talked about, and that's going to be the Celtics and Grizzlies game. The over on that game there. I was looking at the records that I was trying to mention earlier. Grizzlies 5-2-1 to the over in the second leg of back-to-backs, dating back to last season, and also 10-5 to the over coming off a win where they shot less than 45% from the field. Celtics also 3 straight overs so far this season. Obviously, defense was a big component to how the Celtics, were successful last season, but without Williams in there, they've been kind of struggling. I mean, I think the pace of play is a little bit slower. That's why we're not seeing like huge points from the opponents. But as far as efficiency and rating goes, from that status, they're still in the bottom 10 in the league. So to me, I'm looking at the over full game in the Grizzlies and the Celtics there. From the premium side, I do have two bets, two plays up right now, and I'm looking at maybe 3 to 4 more. Today is a huge slate, and hopefully we can get back to the winning side here after going 6-7. But before that, I did have 2 days of 5-0 and 4-1. So it's like we were talking about earlier in the show is, sometimes you have bad streaks, but in the long run is what matters, right? We know in the long run we are winning bettors. I think dating back to late last season, I'm hitting 60% of my bets in the NBA. So, I mean, things are still going well, still positive on the season. I think I'm still number 1 in profit so far this season as well in the NBA. So hopefully we just continue that and go in the upward trajectory there. And one thing that I caught Dr. Chuck say during his analysis as well This guy said he was up 200 some units, guys. And this is because he touches a lot of different sports, and not only basketball but tennis. I mean, you guys gotta check out the website, check out everyone's cappers pages specifically, and see how they're doing, because it's not just NBA. There's other sports out there that you guys need to look at and take advantage of. And all these all access packages are where it's at. I mean, you can get these 7-day packages, the daily the daily $9 Mondays and $2 Tuesdays and stuff like that. But those one-off games, sometimes they might not happen for us, but in the long run, for the all access is where it's at. So definitely check out the website and check out the deals and the capper pages. With that said, that's the end of the show, guys. I think we had a really great show. I think we broke down the 3 games pretty heavily and in different ways as well. And that's why I like having multiple cappers on the show. So with that said, end of the show. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Good luck with all your action till then. Peace.
Peace.